All right, welcome to the podcast. This is Jeff Schills, Florida Director with Joel Campos, and two of our good buddies, Dale Williams and Xander Hill. And we're at the DeLuca Preserve this weekend. We had the blessing to bring three of our closest friends and young men that serve with us closely in the ministry. And man, it's been a wild day and a half. It's been absolutely nuts. I mean, holy cow, dream. Yeah, like a dream. Yeah. How big is this property that we're on?
I know we had access to 4,000 and 10,000 acres, and there's supposedly more. I can't even imagine.
It's a pretty piece of property in the Okeechobee area, which is Yeehaw Junction in Central Florida. It's actually about 45 minutes from the IAM ranch in Lake Wales. So this was a true blessing this weekend. Harvest was plentiful. I know we've been praying about this weekend for probably... Well, since about September time,
yeah,
we
found
had
out
the opportunity, and
Yep.
we're blessed to be able to do this. And I think God showed up way more than we ever expected.
Yeah.
What happened over the last day or so?
We would have been happy with 2 or 3, and we got 9 doe and a hog on top of that.
Yeah, big weekend. And I think the coolest part is that for the 3 young men that were with us, it was all first time for their deer. First time to get a doe, first time to get a deer, period. And so to be able to experience just a harvest of any kind with these young men was, for me, it was life-changing. And I pray it was for these guys as well. So what about y'all? How's the last day been for y'all?
I thought it was very exciting to be able to come here, but it was a blessing to watch the young men harvest their animals and to be in God's creation, watching the sun come up, watching the sun go down while we're hunting was awesome.
Yep. Now, how about the weather?
Dude, it's been perfect weather.
This isn't Florida.
People are jealous up north. They're snowed in, and we were a little mad that it was going to get up to the upper 70s today.
What I thought was hilarious is, these kids were only given permission to shoot does out here.
Yeah.
And they would go out and they'd see 3 or 4 bucks, and they're like, man, I saw 4 bucks, but no does.
No does.
Dude, who complains about that?
Nobody. Nobody.
That's awesome. What a blessing to be out here.
This is an amazing place.
Yeah.
Just blew my mind of the time together. The time by the fire last night was just cool. And, we have some other families that are out here as well that are members of this club. And to be able to just really give thanks to the Lord, and just to kind of recap, what it means to be a man of God and what that looks like to walk, and to spend time with them and to hear them listening and sharing. I thought that was pretty cool. So it was a good time. So, but today we're going to talk about serving, and so it's pretty cool. I know last podcast talked specifically about rest and what does God call us to in rest. But I don't know about y'all. I don't feel like I have a full-time job. I think God has called us to serve full-time.
Yep.
And it doesn't feel like a job for me as the Florida Director of Idols Aside Ministries to be able to love on these young men. I have the blessing of having hundreds of sons. And so for me, when it comes down to it, what I'm called to do full-time becomes rest in a lot of regards, because we get to see Jesus move like crazy, and that fills me back up. And so we wanted to specifically have Dale and Xander, who have been serving with us for close to 2 years now, just kind of share some of their experiences. And our hope is that their stories speak to your stories, because I know a lot of times you hear a lot from Mark and Jace and myself and Joel, and God's called us to do it full time, but our heart is to see armies of men and women serving single moms and the fatherless. And so we want to just spend some time just asking these men some questions of their experience and what they've seen over the last couple of years. So I'll let Joel kind of go with the first question.
So just a brief kind of overview. Dale, he visits 2 schools with me in Polk County. Xander also helps us out in Polk County, and he's from Hinds County, so it's just crazy how that works out. But he also helps out in the ranch, and Dale as well. So Dale, he's been helping out as like literally when I started volunteering. So it's been over 2 years for Dale too. So that's just so cool how that works. But that's just the overview. But Dale, if you want to just kind of explain how you got involved a little bit more detailed, I guess.
Well, you came to me one day and said that you were thinking about going out to this ranch and checking it out. It was the IAM Ministries, but it was focused on young men and mentoring.
Yep.
So me being retired, and it kind of struck me. I said, well, you know, I have plenty of time. So my past employment in law enforcement, I knew that it's a big need in our country today to
Yep.
mentor these young men and just to show them what a godly man is supposed to walk like.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went to the ranch, it was just, at first it kind of overwhelmed me that God put me here. It was a blessing to be able to serve in this capacity because I'm busy at my own church, but you know, God don't make mistakes. He
Nope.
puts you in places where He needs you if you'll just follow and be willing to step out. And it's just been a real blessing to be able to serve, to go to the schools, to minister to the young men there, to meet them. You know, for me, I had 2 daughters, so these young men are like sons to me,
Yep.
and it's just been a true blessing to be able to serve.
Dale, you've been huge part of our life, big
Yeah.
impact on our lives, and making a big impact on these guys too. So let me ask you this: I would think that a lot of people that may be listening to this or watching it may say, "Oh my goodness, like that's beyond me. I'm not equipped to be able to pour into this next generation or these young men without fathers." What would y'all say? You know, and Xander, if you want to answer this, what would you say was your biggest reservation? What do you feel like was maybe a spot where Satan really was like, no, we don't want you there?
That's a tough question. I feel like from the get-go, man, I fell in love with Idols Aside.
Yeah.
I'm active duty law enforcement, and man, I see firsthand the effect that fatherlessness has on young men as they grow older. I worked in corrections before, working on road patrol, and so I've come in close contact, been around just the sin and destruction in our world, and a lot of it can be attributed back to fatherlessness.
Yep.
And so for me, when I heard about Idols Aside and how they can not only bring the earthly father aspect back into it, but also bringing in, you know, the spiritual father as well, I fell in love with it. And for the last 2 years, I've been plugged in with Joel, and mostly Joel, but Jeff, man, we've got to spend a lot of good time together as well.
Yeah.
I think the biggest setback or reservation for me, and it's probably one of the most under talked about things with you guys as leaders, is how quickly you can get attached to these young kids,
Yeah.
and then just with the snap of a finger they can get pulled back into the world. And
Yep.
Yep.
it's like, man, I've invested so much time and energy
Yep.
into loving this kid, and he acts like he doesn't know me now.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
right.
tough.
Yep.
That's why we can't give up. You know, even one of the young men that were here this weekend, you know, met him at 15 and made a bad decision 2 weeks after I met him. And for a year he was in a program, and God opened up the door for me to build a relationship with his mom and, you know, continue to sow into his sisters. And then brought him back around at almost, you know, the end of a 16-year-old. So he was going into his junior year in high school, and God kind of picked us back up right there. And so you know, he's almost 20 years old. So to have him out this weekend, that's a blessing. So we got to keep grinding. So let me ask you, this is probably a yes or no answer, but would you guys have said that it would have been disobedient for y'all not to say yes to serving with this ministry after God spoke and impressed it upon your heart?
Absolutely, without a doubt. That's for me. If you want to say anything about that.
For me, yes. I mean, absolutely. That's why when I talked before, God put you in a place for a reason.
Yeah.
So, me being older, you know, they call the elder or whatever, I had a little bit of a reservation. I said, well, how are these guys going to receive me, you know? But it's been like, it's been awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, they love to hear men
That's right.
Yeah.
share with them.
That's right.
So, no matter your age, you can serve. You can make a difference, and it's just a blessing to be able to do it.
Yeah. They're hungry.
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. They're actually hungry for
That's right.
men to get involved, and that's the best part about our ministry is that we're doing that.
That's right. And let me make no qualms about it. They love you, Dale.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all love you, but they love you specifically because you're straightforward with them, and you have wisdom, and you have experience where you don't really need to be worried about breaking the ice. You can go right in after their heart, and you've done an amazing job doing that. And I just think that that's what men need to hear. It doesn't matter if you're 25 years old or you're 65 years old. God has blessed you with wisdom to be able to pass on to these young men, and they want to hear it. They do, and they're hungry for it. So that's good. That's good. So, what do you think's next?
I think something cool that I want to have Xander speak on is how we met. Because me and Xander, you may think we've known each other for a while, but we actually met literally it was February of when I decided to join the ministry. It's a pretty cool story. You want to go over that?
Yeah, so my wife and I have attended the same church since I moved here 3 years ago. And, man, God put it on our hearts one Sunday to just go to another church. Let's go see what else, what other churches have to offer in our area. Is there another church that has more people in our age group, in our season of life that we can connect with? And, man, we took a leap of faith and we went to, just typed in, what's the next closest Baptist church to our house on Google Maps, and it popped up.
And they gave him the best one.
With Frost-Proof First Baptist Church. We were like, okay, we'll try it out. And so we went over there the next Sunday, and I walked in, and it was a retirement community. But we sat, and we were hoping, man, we're going to hear what the pastor has to say. We're going to give this place a shot. And then the pastor came up, and he's like, I'm not going to be speaking today. I'm going to be letting this Hispanic guy, who I had no idea who he was, looked like he was terrified to be there.
Short, chubby guy.
Joel Campos come up and speak about what he's going to be doing. And he presented Idols Aside and how he was going on staff with Idols Aside and everything that Idols Aside had to offer, and asked if anybody wanted to get plugged in, that they would come and speak to him after the service. And, man, I just felt God pulling on my heart to come and at least give him my name or my number, because everything that he had brought up, I was seeing at work. I was seeing the kids falling away, just running to the streets because that's all they had to look up to. And, man, being able to teach kids how to hunt and fish and shoot, that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
So putting the two together was just, it was common sense for me.
Yep.
I went up to Joel. Pretty sure he forgot my name.
I put Hines Sheriff's guy. It's close. Close.
Basically had it.
Had the job title right.
Xander with a Z.
Yeah. But, man, almost when Joel called me a couple weeks later, instant connection. We've been the best friends since. And God has really strengthened our relationships, our wives' relationships. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
You know, we have a really solid handful of men like Dale and Xander who have really won all in. Men that maybe started at the ranch and then jumped directly in on the campus, or they started going into Side Point Follows Young Men on campus and then came to the ranch. And so I can't imagine that there's a more blessed ministry, in this area, let alone the United States, as far as of men that God is raising up. And so we're grateful for men like y'all that are just willing to jump in. And so y'all have served in a couple different facets, the ranch, like I said, and school campuses. So just to jump into the real meat, what is a just an obvious impact that God has shown you in a young man's life, whether it's continual discipleship on campus or an experience like we had with Christian and Anthony and Gabe this weekend? I mean, just a tangible impact that God has let you witness.
I think for me in the school setting is the young men that we're meeting with are hungry for the Word. And when we go in and have our Bible studies, it's really gratifying to see the impact that this ministry has on these young men.
Yeah.
They expect, they are hungry for it.
Yep.
And it seems that when Joel presents it, God lays something on your heart to share, at the end, and it's been a really awesome experience to watch these young men just develop their relationship with the Lord.
Yep.
So
That's good. Good. Xander, you jump in there too, man. Biggest impact that you've seen God make in a young man's life over the last 2 years.
Man, I've seen just the impact on several kids. I mean, as coming to Christ,
Yeah.
and then even just their maturity. I can think of a couple that go to Frostproof that I've gotten the opportunity to go into their schools, and seeing them the first couple of weeks that I was volunteering
Yep.
to now, they couldn't even tell you where Genesis was in the Bible. They couldn't tell you anything. But now, when you go into the schools, they're able to flip right open. Let's go to Matthew
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
or wherever, and they're able to find their way around the Bible. They're able to hold a good spiritual conversation with you just because they've been poured into consistently, week after week after week. Whether they wanted it or not, man, they
Yep.
are getting to experience the gospel week in and week out through life on life discipleship.
That's
Yep.
good.
It's awesome.
That's good.
Yep.
I think maybe we should answer these as well. So what's
Yeah.
your thoughts?
On like a testimony.
Well, just biggest impact
Biggest
God's shown
impact?
you in 2 years.
So one I'm looking at right now is Christian. Christian, we met out of nowhere, and I told him last night, like, it's when you go to talk to a young man in a school, they don't know you at all.
Yeah.
A counselor's like, hey, there's this weirdo guy that takes kids hunting. Do you want to meet him? And I'm sure Christian's probably like, no. And finally, God laid it on his heart, and he said yes. And me and Dale met him, and me and Dale prayed right before we met him, and now we're so glad he gets to come out here. The first time at our ranch, though, he did have a pretty tough time playing basketball, but we've got him.
Football.
We're having him drinking water, and we got him hydrated now, and he's been out here for a couple hours, couple days, really.
That's right.
And he's doing well, and I'm just glad to see him grow.
Yep.
Not only in his faith, but just maturity, and we're glad to be a part of his life. So
Yeah, that's good.
Isn't it crazy how some of these kids just open up
Yep.
yeah,
and you get them away from social media and you
Yeah.
get them
Right.
away from their
Yeah.
friends and out here they
Yeah.
just
Right.
open up and they're completely different people.
God's creation speaks.
Yep.
God's creation
There's
speaks.
something about a fire though.
Yeah,
Fire-
something about a fire.
Being
That's
around
the
the
truth.
fire, man, it
That's
just
the truth. That's
I
the
don't know.
truth. For
just
sure.
feels welcomed. I
Yep.
guess is the word.
I'd stay on the same theme with the young men that are with us this weekend. So I've been blessed. Although you meet with Christian at Lake Wales High School, I got to meet him at a retreat,
Yep.
and he lives in Lakeland, so he's going to church to the Rock.
Yeah.
So man, it's really cool. It's not very often that both of us, since we live an hour
Yeah.
apart, are able
Yeah.
to love on the same young man. So that's huge. 2 young men that are with us this weekend, Gabe and Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
I tell a lot of kids that they're my favorites and they're my best friends, and really I'm not blowing smoke or making that up.
Mm-hmm.
But Gabe and Anthony have a different spot in my heart, because of the time that God has blessed me with these young men. So I met Anthony when he was 15. He's going to be 20 coming up, so 4.5 years. And then Gabe, I believe, met 2020-ish, maybe right before COVID. And seventh grade, you guys used to walk to my office from Lakeland Highlands, and he's a junior this year, going to be 17 at the end of this month. Just a change I've seen in Gabe's life of just not feeling like a relationship with God is a bunch of rules that I got to be better, but
Yeah.
realizing that a relationship with God is what makes him complete. And we were talking, Xander was like, man, have you ever seen Gabe just open up and share? But what I believe is going on is this is the true Gabe. This is the Gabe that God created.
Yeah.
And so by just spending time with some men who are speaking truth, God's spirit is just reminding Gabe of who he truly is, right?
Yep.
And so that's a miracle. And then Anthony, he's a miracle that has been an encouragement in my life. I said this on the way here. First thing that Anthony told me when I met him the first time was he's passionate about helping people. And you don't hear young men say that the first time that you meet them on campus. Normally you hear them say, I'm passionate about video games or making money, right? And
Yeah,
Anthony said
money.
helping people. And so the crazy part is although Anthony's been on this trajectory, some low points and some really high points, he's always that's been his purpose. And now that he sees that was God's purpose that implanted that, and not Anthony's purpose, that was God's purpose. It's a whole different ball game, and the sky's the limit. I mean, this kid is gonna. I know and believe he's going to own multiple companies that are going to just bless people like crazy. And so I'm just excited to be just a small part and just watching him grow. And so this weekend was really super meaningful to that. So
definitely.
So let me ask you guys this, you know, kind of, I don't want to say to wrap it up, but kind of to head that direction. So hopefully there's some individuals that are listening out there that can be, you know, in North Carolina or Georgia or Michigan, and man, they're just feeling that tick on their heart, like, man, I want to get involved, right? What's just the easiest way for a man who's maybe listening? What's the easiest way for them to get involved? Not necessarily with Idols Aside, because if they're in another state, but what's the easiest way for them to get involved with just pouring into a young man that may not have a father figure?
Yeah, I think start by being prayerful.
Yep.
Start praying, God,
Amen.
if there's a young man that I can really disciple, take under my wing, show him to me, and open his heart. And man, that is a desire that God would want, and he's going to fulfill that desire.
Yep.
So, but it starts with asking God, open hearts, open minds, and open my eyes.
Yep.
And I'm going to do whatever you have in store for me.
Amen.
Be willing to follow.
Well, I would say, I'm sure you're part of a corporate worship, and there's always kids around that need mentoring,
Mm-hmm.
and pray about it, and just seek them out. I mean, you know, their mothers would be glad probably for you to mentor them. You know, it's something that you got to step out in faith, and then you got to act. You've got to take that next step and just be involved.
That's right. That's good.
Yep.
What do you think?
Yeah, man, just to go, you know, what they said, get uncomfortable. Like, get out of the pew, get out of the seat. I mean, I'm a Baptist person, so that's why I said pew, but get out of that chair on Sunday morning, Wednesday, and go talk to some kids. And, I mean, allow the Lord to lead, but at the same time, be willing to get uncomfortable, ask questions. Like we said, these young men are hungry. They're looking for an opportunity. They're looking for hope in a hopeless environment, a hopeless part of in the world. So be there for them, be that arm for them, be that stronghold, and that's what God calls us to do. That's the part that people need to remember. It's not something that you're doing just to be a good person. You're doing it because Jesus calls us to do it, and if He's calling us to do it, He's going to provide that opportunity. So take advantage of it for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't add hardly anything to these guys. I mean, starting with prayer, you know, I would just say this. Do you know where Christian and Anthony and Gabe and young men like these hang out? They hang out at the ball field. They hang out at the basketball court, right? They're involved with the band. They're involved with extracurricular things like Boy Scouts. Some of them are around the youth group, or some of them are the peripheral kids that their friends are bringing them. But the schools, y'all. I mean, we talk a lot about the schools with you. We've been blessed here in Central Florida. We have about 16 schools that the doors have been opened for us to be on campus. But I'll tell you right now, if you're meaningful in your prayer and your heart is in it, God is going to open up a door, and He'll open up a door on a school campus. And what I have seen is that most campuses are very reactive, and they're hungry for an opportunity to be proactive. And I really believe with my heart, if you started covering a school in prayer, and you went in and you filled out a volunteer application, a principal, an AP, a mental health facilitator, a success coach, they will meet with you, and they will be open to have you meeting with a young man without a father. And Dale said take action. That we know that we are saved by grace through what Jesus did on the cross, but people know us by our fruit. And that's taking action and walking your faith out. And so you're equipped. Let me tell you, I had a 72-year-old man serve with me this week at Lake Region High School, and he was blessed, and the young men were blessed by him, and I was blessed by him. And so anybody and everybody is equipped. And so I hope y'all see not only the need. I hope y'all have a prick in your heart. I really believe that part of these podcasts are for the Holy Spirit to speak through us into you. We are normal men. I just want you to know. Joel started as a volunteer 2 years ago.
Yep.
I started as a volunteer 8 years ago. Dale and Xander are volunteers now. It's just getting involved and seeing the need and seeing the impact that is there. And listen, the impact's not happening because of you. It's happening because of God working through you. And so just get out of the way and let him use you. So we're excited.
Yeah.
What a cool couple days here at the
Yeah.
DeLuca Preserve. I'm honored to serve with you guys. You guys, heaven is going to be sweet. And I just think weekends like this are like, how could heaven be much cooler than this?
Yeah.
You know, so
I'm humbled and honored.
yep,
Yeah.
Sir.
definitely. So,
Yep.
but we appreciate y'all. Thank you for spending time with us, and we can't wait to see you till next time.
I'll see you.